Jamaica has begun to experience the effects of the powerful Hurricane Melissa. Hi again and welcome. This is Links 007 TV Weather Report, and we'll be right back with the full details. Welcome back and thanks for joining us. This is Links 007 TV Weather Report. Jamaica has begun to experience the effects of the powerful Hurricane Melissa, which strengthened overnight into a Category 4 system, packing winds sustained of 140 miles per hour. Heavy rains and tropical storm force winds are already affecting eastern parishes including Portland, St. Thomas, and section of Kingston and St. Andrew and St. Catherine as conditions steadily deteriorate across the island. The Meteorological Service of Jamaica said that a hurricane warning remains in effect as Melissa continues to move slowly westward but is expected to turn towards the island by Monday. As of today, October 26, 2025, the center of Hurricane Melissa was about 179 kilometers south of Moran Point, or 195 kilometers southeast of Kingston, Jamaica. Melissa is moving towards 7 kilometers per hour and is expected to approach and move across Jamaica between Monday night and Tuesday morning. Further strengthening is likely through tonight, with fluctuation to intensify before it makes landfall in Jamaica. According to the Met Service, hurricane force winds extend 35 kilometers from the center, while tropical storm force wind reach up to 280 kilometers outwards. Small craft operators, including fisheries on the Keys and Banks, have been urged to remain in safe harbor until all warnings are lifted and conditions return to normal. The Meteorological Service will continue to monitor the system closely, and Links 007 TV right now is going to join them for their latest bulletin.
Thank you very much, Minister Morris Dixon, and I also want to greet my own minister, Matthew Samuda, as well as the other ministers in attendance, Minister Vaz, as well as Minister Mackenzie, who are here. And of course, all persons who are here, distinguished persons, those who are online, the media, of course. Thank you so much for joining us and allowing us to provide you with this update. You know, I'm always the one who is facing the camera, but there are so many others who work behind me and actually provide me with much of the information and assist in the process. So I want to just big up those people, the forecasters of the National Meteorological Center, who continue to do their work very studiously where they are, as well as the leader that supports me so very well, Mr. Rohan Brown, who is the head of our weather services. Now we are at bulletin. We have the last bulletin that we issued from the Met Service was bulletin number 37. We only do 7 bulletins per day. So, you know, we've gone over 5 days writing bulletins every 3 hours. So it has really been a tedious task, but we have consistently been doing it. And we recognize that the road ahead is still far. We do have a lot more bulletins to write and a couple of more days that we'll have to be engaging in that activity. But the latest information coming to us and shared with the public is that this system continues to move toward the west. If you take a look at the picture that's on the screen, you'll see where the center of Hurricane Melissa is located. The system is a Category 4 hurricane. This is moving toward the west at this time. The last location showed it to be south of Kingston. So it has already passed the longitude of Morant Point. It is now just about at the longitude of Kingston and will continue to move westward. But then it is expected to make its turn toward the north. We'll show you that track in just a moment. But you can see the rain bands that are associated with the system as it continues to move westward. Here is a slight loop just showing the development. But the eastern part of the island, it seemed to have been experiencing some rainfall, but it's not consistent. It's really periods of rainfall and actually just coming from time to time and very short periods. But we are experiencing some rainfall over sections of the island, and that is expected to increase as we go through this Saturday and going into Sunday. This is another image of the satellite imagery, but it also shows where a lot of the lightning strikes are in this system. Most of them on the eastern side of the center and in the bands that are surrounding the system. But we are seeing the white area where the dense overcast is moving over toward Jamaica as it moves toward the west. Then this way, we are proud to say that this is our radar image right here in Jamaica, the radar that's operated by the Meteorological Service. And you can see a very distinct eye also being projected on this image. So we see also where the rainfall is occurring in the system, and it is, as you can see, starting to affect sections of the island with the outer bands of this hurricane. Continuing just to show you where the system is moving, we see that it is expected to continue moving toward the west, if you look at that picture, and then it would turn toward Jamaica from the south, moving northward, moving over Jamaica. That's the same track, basically, that we've been sharing with you over the past day or so. And it is expected to be a major hurricane continuing in this way, moving right across the island as a Category 4 hurricane. That is what is projected. It could go for a brief period as a Category 5. That's yet to be seen, but right now the forecast is that it will move over Jamaica as a Category 4 hurricane. And that is expected to start early on Tuesday or maybe very late on Monday, depending on how this system actually starts to move, if it moves at any quicker pace. Right now, the fastest I've seen it move is just about 6 kilometers per hour. That's just about 3 or 4 miles per hour. And so we're watching it moving very, very slowly, ambling over the waters, and then gradually moving closer and closer to us. This is the projected track moving across the island. You can see with that dotted line. But I'm showing this picture really because I want to show you what those green areas to the south and even to the north are, because they represent where the storm surge is expected to affect Jamaica. Storm surge is expected mainly over the southern side of the island, and this would be to the east of the center as it approaches the south coast and as it begins to make impact. So we see the greener areas really over Clarendon, parts of St. Catherine, and then going into Kingston and western parts of St. Thomas. That's where we're expecting most of the storm surge. But if you take a look at that area just east of the Portland Cottage area, and of course where you see those lighter greens and the browns, that is where the highest storm surge is expected to take place. So if you're anywhere in this general area, if you can take a look at your map, I'll tell you what the names of some of the communities are in maybe the next briefing. But for the time being, this is the general area that we do expect to experience most of the storm surge, which means waves pushed onto the land and possibly getting as high as 13 feet. Continuing on the picture here, we'll see the amount of rainfall that we are expected to experience across the country. I told you that we've started to experience some rain, but it has not been intense thus far. But when you look at this picture, you'll see that intense rainfall is projected across the country. This shows that we could have 20 to 30 inches of rainfall over the eastern and some south central parts of the country. And then even in the higher elevations in the east, we could have over 30 inches, getting close to, in millimeters, close to 1,000 millimeters. Over the period of the system moving across us. So this is tremendous rainfall that is bound to cause widespread flooding right across the country. And it is something to be noteworthy for all our communities. I believe there are flooding potential areas in every parish of our country. And so you need to know if you're in a flood-prone area, if you're in a low-lying area, you need to take note. If you're near to a river course or a gully, you need to also take special note and find some alternative location that you can move to should you be threatened by the heavy rainfall. This is just another picture of the clouds over the area associated with the hurricane. And here we can see another image showing the satellite picture, and we're seeing a lot of the showers and thunderstorms from this system. The track outlook, there are a number of projections, but I won't go into any more detail with these pictures, just to tell you that we need to continue to monitor what is happening, continue to listen to the bulletins that are issued by the Meteorological Service, and of course be prepared for quick action if you need to take that action. All preparations should have been completed, and we really simply should just be in a safe, a secure place, waiting for the system to move over us and pass over us. So I should point out that there is a slight shift in the track thus far to the west. We're hoping that we'll see more shifts that would eventually take it off the country, but right now the forecast is that we will be directly impacted by the eye, a landfalling between Monday night and Tuesday morning, and it will move across us right through the day on Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Evan. Yes, Minister Vaz, doesn't seem to be good news, but I'm going to take the questions. I'm going to deviate again today and take the questions, just noting that with us, we do have Minister Samuda, we have Minister Vaz, and I did indicate that Minister Mackenzie, who leads all of us on this area, he is also here, and they will all speak to you also. So I'm going to take questions from the media now in relation to what Evan Thompson has just said. All right, we don't have a roving mic. We're in the emergency center. So if you could just stand and I can repeat the question for Jamaica to hear.
All right, no problem. Greetings, everyone. I'm Jason Cross from The Observer. I want to find out from Minister Mackenzie what's the status of the shelters at this point in time.
He's going to come. I wanted questions for Evan. Just on.
For Evan?
Yes. Okay. All right. Does anyone have any questions for Evan Thompson? Everything is clear? All right, so every part of Jamaica is going to be affected. There is a lot of rainfall that is projected. He also said we'll feel the brunt of it Monday night going into Tuesday. And so that's what he has said. We all have to be very, very careful and be prepared for the worst. All right, so now we're going to have Minister Samuda, who will speak to you. He's our Minister of Water, Environment, and Climate Change. Minister Samuda.
Thank you, Minister Dixon. Colleague ministers, thank you for the hospitality. Minister Mackenzie, everyone, heads of agencies, members of the NEOC, members of the media, and certainly those watching and listening at home. As everyone would have just told you, we are facing a Category 4 hurricane that has potential for strengthening. As I have started every update with the statement, because it is incredibly true, and I think particularly true at this moment, it is still not time for panic. It is time to complete your preparations. It is time for some prayer, and it is time for us to plan, and time for us to engage our programs. This storm will test our systems. I want to publicly put on record my thanks to Evan Thompson and to his entire team, leadership all the way through the organization, as they've been working 24 hours a day, not on shift or I think in teams. I think every team is fully engaged over the last 10 days as we've been tracking this unusual storm. So I want to publicly thank the Met Service on behalf of Jamaica and the government, because they've been doing an awesome job in keeping us up to date and giving us the information that we absolutely need to plan. We also want to put on record our thanks to our international partners, in particular the National Hurricane Center, that does support us significantly with technology and visibility that we may not have locally. We also want to thank the UN Country Office that has reached out to us and offered their support, and many other partners. We are at a critical juncture, and at our earlier discussion with the utility providers, Minister Vaz made an important point. The proof of the pudding is going to be in the eating in terms of how we execute the plans that we have. But let's look firstly at the state of our planning, certainly for the water sector and its interconnectivity with the power sector. The Water Commission has engaged all of its emergency protocols. We have done a re-review of our performance and ability to restore service post-burial over the last few weeks, and ensured that we have ticked the boxes, so to speak, of the plan that we wrote post-burial. One of the things that we've done and is formed a co-working group with JPS. So JPS is very clear on all of the pumps that are critical for supply of hospitals, of infirmaries, of places of safety, of places of detention, so that they can work to restore current to those first. They're also clear on the pumping stations that function to load trucks, so that they know that those are also priority stations that have to be restored, so that we're able to also do emergency water distribution while turbidity settles, while you get your generators dispatched. Now, one of the things that we've not been able to do is to pre-dispatch our generators, and that is for a very real reason. We've seen the issues that Digicel and Flow are having with theft. We've seen the issue of theft of fuel from generators. So we will have to dispatch immediately after the all clear comes from ODPEM so that we reduce that theft. But we have over 50 generators, which are major generators that create the triple phase, or rather triple phase generators that provide the power that you need to start our pumping system. This will restore close to 80% of our customer base within 72 hours of the all clear and turbidity settling. We can't say definitively where turbidity will be a particular challenge and how much of a challenge it will be, but we expect to get to 80% of our customers with sporadic supply after 72 hours, because generators do have to cool, they do have to break, they do have to take their time for service and for refueling, etc. So it won't be 72 hours and everything back up and running, but 72 hours that there will be supply that allow people to catch water, to store, to backfill their storage, and to be able to manage. We've also engaged 4 mobile generators that will move to remote areas that we expect that are hardest hit, so at least they're able to get some water and able to backfill their storage as well. We're also happy to report that 4 of our major pumping stations and treatment plants also now have their own resilience in terms of their energy supply. We installed major generators, including at places like Logwood, which supplies all of Western Hanover and Western Westmoreland. We upgraded the supply at the Mona treatment plant, the Hermitage treatment plant, and indeed at several of our facilities in St. Catherine. So we are in a better place than last year, certainly, to respond to water distribution. We've also ensured that we've engaged our truckers and that they're pre-positioned to go to our loading bays immediately after to start to deal with many of our elderly shut-ins. We've got quite the list from SDC, Minister Mackenzie, so we're able to go to several of those persons who we know are shut-ins and will need a lot of help very quickly. As I said, we're more resilient this year than last year, but this is a bigger storm than last year. And this is a potential direct hit. Beryl was not a direct hit. So we're more resilient. Let's hope that additional resilience is sufficient for what is a worse storm than we would have faced last year with Beryl. God bless Jamaica. Stay safe and stay smart and listen to the official sources of information. If I was to take what I just saw, I wouldn't have been able to drive in New Kingston a while ago because of flooding that's being posted as now. So we encourage you to follow JIS, follow OPM, follow the Ministry of Education and Information, follow the relevant ministry sources, and of course, reputable media houses. Thank you. God bless Jamaica.
Thank you so much, Minister Samuda. And next up, we have Minister Mackenzie. But I think Minister Vaz is asking if he can go first. So we're going to have Minister Vaz, our Minister of Energy, Telecoms and Transport.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon or good morning to all of Jamaica, diaspora, and of course, media, colleague ministers. So let me start by saying that we had a press briefing earlier, or should I say the JPS had a press briefing for which I attended. So I'm going to repeat some of what I said of the important points there. First of all, I want to caution Jamaica to realize and understand that we did not get a direct hit from Beryl, and we are due to get a direct hit category 4 and possibly category 5. So the level of damage that you saw in Beryl will likely be severely increased and more widespread than what we had. I can say that the presentations that have been made to me by the telcos and JPS and the other essential services under my ministry, I am satisfied that we have a plan in place. But again, I want to caution that the plan is one thing. The execution of that plan is what is going to make the difference in our recovery. I want to say that you have the commitment of the Prime Minister already, that all his line ministers will be leading from the front, meaning that firstly communicating with you, and secondly doing the work and the coordination and collaboration that is going to be required. We can say that Starlink headquarters has reached out to us through their emergency response, and we have already gotten some equipment that is being used by the Ministry of Labour and Social Security to coordinate, obviously, the preparations and the aftermath. And I can say that Otben also has either received or will receive shortly another set of equipment that will allow for us to be able to communicate during and after the storm. So we will intensify that as needed, depending on when the assessment is taking place after and what additional we need. I can also say that both international airports are now closed. We accommodated 11 flights out of Montego Bay this morning, and we closed at midday. JUTC remains operational for evacuation, and they are coordinating as we speak with ODPEM and the police. As the storm draws or the hurricane draws nearer, obviously there will be more requirements for us to be able to respond. I want to say again, at this point, there's always been a hesitancy when evacuation orders are given. Do not take this one lightly. This may be the one. So follow the instructions of ODPEN and Minister Mackenzie and the government of Jamaica, because we have your safety in mind. And top priority, low-lying areas. I'm sure Minister Mackenzie will speak on it, so I will leave it for them. The toll, east, west, and north, south. I have already signed the order, and I'm just waiting to effect it. So as soon as everyone tells me that the weather is up on us, we will open the toll booths free of cost, and that will remain in place, including the aftermath, to allow for emergency responses and for persons to be able to access and get to their families, their businesses, and their properties. JPS. I was bombarded on the way here with a WhatsApp that is circulating about when JPS is going to shut down the various parishes. It is fake news. Only listen to JPS directly on their social media or their releases, and Government of Jamaica trusted sites and communication apparatus. I can say that between when I went to JPS earlier this morning and coming here, I have now received the request for force majeure from JPS officially. And for those who may not understand force majeure, let me just say, it is a contract clause that relieves a party from fulfilling their obligations when an extraordinary event beyond their control, such as natural disaster, makes performance impossible. So, in essence, the license has certain conditionalities, and in order for them to be relaxed, in order for them to respond, they require the government of Jamaica, who gave them the license in the first place, to sign a force majeure. I can state categorically that this will not be held up. I've already referred it to the Attorney General's chambers, and I am prepared to sign as early as possible, even prior to the strike. So you can rest assured that JPS will not be hindered by the conditionalities of their existing contract. Let me just again caution everybody not to listen to fake news. I know it's very hard because anxiety levels are high on your phone, monitoring every message that is coming around and trying to find as much information. That will just raise your anxiety. Just stick with the government of Jamaica, who has your best interest at heart and will continue to communicate to you as required and as we have been doing. Congratulations to Minister Dixon and the team and Minister Mackenzie and ADPEM. I know it's not an easy time. You can be assured that we will lead from the front and we will get through this together. So I would close by saying, this is not a time for politics. This is not a time for rifts and disagreements. Every single Jamaican has a part to play between now, during, and after. And if we do it collectively, in unity, and in harmony, we will recover better and quicker. May God bless Jamaica and every single Jamaican. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Minister Vaz. And so we are going to close out this briefing with our last presentation, and then we'll take questions. But it will be from Minister Mackenzie, the Deputy Chair of our National Disaster Risk Management Council. And he has been the one that's coordinating everything, and so he'll have some very important updates for the country. Thank you. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you, Minister, colleague, Minister Evan, officials from ADPEM and members of appointed minister, officials from ADPEM, members of the media, Jamaica, good afternoon. First of all, I'd like to advise the country that we have activated all shelters across Jamaica. So shelters are fully activated, and persons who wants to go to the shelters, they can do so because the shelters have been activated. There are 2 areas of concern I want to address quickly. One, I spoke yesterday about the number of cranes, construction cranes, that are left hanging across the corporate area and other sections of the island. Not much has been done since I spoke about it, but I want to advise those persons that they will be held responsible for any damage, loss of life, that those cranes and construction material might contribute to. It is not late to take them down. I am asking those who have up those cranes, right around here in New Kingston, you see them up, still up, making one final appeal. The other area of concern involves some of our homeless population. And I noticed that a lot of people is criticizing the government because there is one homeless man in the Harborview area who got personal attention from the Inspector of Poor and the Secretary of the Board of Supervision, who went out and engaged him in lengthy conversation, trying to convince him it is in his best interest to go to the shelters. And he refused. I saw in one of this morning's newspaper that one homeless man said he'd rather die on the street than going into the shelters. I want to make it clear that we have made all the necessary provisions to remove the homeless population. We have provided public transport to take them to the various facilities right across the center. And we will continue to do so as long as conditions allow us to do so. The question of the mandatory movements will be addressed. But let me say to Jamaica that I don't think we need an order to move from the areas that we know are vulnerable communities. Very encouraging, despite there are still persons in Port Royal who don't want to leave. The Member of Parliament, Philip Paulwell, called me last night to say that a significant number of persons in Port Royal have started to move or have left the community. And we will still be providing transportation in all the communities. And if you listen to what Evan said about the level of rainfall and the possibility of flooding, many of these communities will not survive this flooding. Again, I urge persons living in low-lying areas, areas that are vulnerable to flooding. It is not too late. If you're having problems to move, call the ODPEM. The numbers are available. We will assist you if you are having problems in moving. I said yesterday, and I'm going to repeat it again. When this event comes, it is going to be impossible for us, after all the attempts that we have been making, to advise persons, begging persons to leave. It is going to be difficult for us to say to our first responders, go out and risk your lives now for someone who refused when it was conducive for them to leave. It might sound harsh, but it is the reality. And I don't believe many people in this country realize what is it we are facing. And the government continues to play its part, and nobody can deny that the government has not been proactive. And I want to say something which is pertinent in saying, based on the assessment that was done by the government after Beryl, the committee headed by former commissioner, who is now ambassador to the United States, a lot of findings. We look at the findings and the recommendations, and a lot of what came out of those recommendations are being implemented as I speak. So our shelters are up and running. Transportation to transport people to the shelters are available. The critical communities know themselves. Rocky Point in Clarendon, Portland Cottage, Bamboo River in St. Thomas, New Haven, Riverton City, Taylorlands. I can go on and name. These communities know themselves. They know the difficulties. And with a Category 4 hurricane, with the possibility of raising to a Category 5, there is nothing more we can do as a government but to beg and beseech persons to heed the warning. And if it will help, I will go on my knees. It is the collective response of all of us as Jamaicans that will take us through. This is just the beginning. And if anybody believes that being stubborn helps, well, that is their funeral. This is one bet you cannot win. You cannot bet against Melissa. Don't do it because you can't win. And I'm urging Jamaicans We'll be back later on if needs be to give further updates. Minister Dixon have indicated that we'll be back tomorrow morning. And if possible, we can come back on Tuesday. We will be coming back. We will continue to speak to the country. But we can only speak as loud as you will allow us to speak. So, the shelters are up. The Ministry of Labor and Social Security have started to make arrangements to provide relief supplies for all our shelters. The shelter numbers are up, and I'm going to ask Ms. Edwards to come and to give some numbers that persons can make contact. It is important, ladies and gentlemen, Jamaicans, I beg of you, I urge you. And as a praying country, let us continue to pray for God's guidance and strength as we commence this journey that only God knows where it will end. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, Minister Mackenzie, Minister Vaz, heads of entities here, Board Chairman, ODPEM team, media. The numbers that Minister spoke about will be, of course, placed on various. Can't hear? I have to speak a little louder. Is this better? All right. So just to indicate that the numbers that Minister spoke about will be accessible on the various platforms that are there for the information that is being provided by the ODPEM. And we want persons to, of course, go to these platforms, the ODPEM website, the WhatsApp channel, the JIS, all of the information that we have for emergency numbers, high-risk areas are all there. In terms of shelters, we do have approximately 31 shelters already activated. And so persons, we, Minister, seem to be taking the information very seriously. And we just want to encourage persons. It is a very dangerous hurricane that is approaching us. And we want to make sure that every Jamaican is safe. And so we are asking persons to heed the messages from the various entities, the Met Office, the ODPEM, the JIS, the other entities of government that is providing information to keep us safe. And we can't overemphasize the importance of us being prepared, of us taking the information seriously, because we don't really want to have any sort of catastrophic information or any sort of catastrophic or life loss on this watch. And so I just want to encourage every Jamaican out there to take the information seriously. Persons that live in low-lying and flood-prone areas, we ask you to evacuate because the storm is approaching us. And so I just want to just say to the teams that have been working very hard, thank you for your work. Thank you for all of the efforts that you've put in so far. The coordination is a number of parts. And so, it is, to bring it all together and to have it seamless is, a lot of dedication and hard work from a lot of persons from various entities, ministries, and departments. And so I just want to just say that may the Lord just keep us safe through the passage of this storm as it approaches us. And we just ask you all to also be safe. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. And also the emergency number for ODPEM, you can always call that number. There's a team here in this building that is taking the calls. If you're in any trouble, you can call that number. Yes, we have the numbers online for all shelters, but there's a main number here, and we'll put it up after this press conference. There's some questions. Minister Vaz, I know you need to give us some more updates, and then we'll take more questions.
Just to reiterate Minister Mackenzie's message a while ago, I just received a WhatsApp update from the JUTC. They have responded to 4 evacuations calls since yesterday, I suspect through ODPEM. As far as Flaggerman in St. Elizabeth, where the residents refused to board the bus. So we sent a bus all the way to Flaggerman in St. Elizabeth. No response. Old Harbour Bay, yesterday, only 10 persons boarded the bus. Port Royal and Raytown today, same response. So we have deployed our resources and are awaiting boarding. So we actually, there's going to have buses on spot now, parked, waiting to evacuate, and the response is not there. So I want to reiterate based on what Minister Mackenzie just said, and also to say that the update from JUTC as of right now is that they are running limited operations and will likely cease operations by mid-afternoon due to rising water levels, low visibility, and of course, the weather coming closer. JUTC is also providing special support in transporting medical staff to the KPH, and we are prepared to respond to similar requests from the public health sector. So again, just indicating that we are doing everything physically possible. And to say, as Desmond rightly said a while ago, you cannot win this bet, so don't gamble. Last but not least, 2 numbers that I would like to share with you to report vandalism of the telcos, which is a major problem, including this morning on Red Hills Road. 876-922-4357. So that would be 876-922-HELP. And also, for Digicel, that would be Flow. For Digicel, we have a number here. That I just received, 876-355-5000. 876-355-5000. That's to report vandalism on the both telcos. And as I said before, for every time somebody does anything to harm the property of the telcos, whether it be diesel oil or generators or fiber, cable, it is only going to set us back in our recovery efforts. So I see the officer nodding. Zero tolerance. Zero tolerance. Thank you.
And so there is a high likelihood of flooding. We ask all our Jamaicans to please heed this warning. If you're asked to evacuate, your life is so important. And we want you to remain safe. So please listen to the authorities. On another note, it was just so devastating this morning to think that we are out of communication because of vandalism. Vandalism as we are about to face a hurricane, a very strong hurricane. This is not how we treat each other, and this is not the Jamaica that we all know. And so many people can't communicate right now because someone stole copper. That cannot be the way we prepare for a hurricane. I know we are better than that, and we need to do what we can to demonstrate that we are better than that. And so as you hear the warnings, please listen to them, and also remember that we're all in this together. everybody is important and we have to take care of everyone. If you know anyone who's elderly, anyone who has a disability needs support, please reach out to them so that they can be supported. And as always, look for the ODPEM numbers. ODPEM leads on disaster response. And so use those numbers so that you can get to an emergency personnel, a member of the emergency crew if you need it. But remember, after the storm starts, there's very little they can do. So if you can evacuate, we ask you to evacuate now. And so thank you, Minister Mackenzie, for all of your leadership. Thank you, Minister Vaz, and thanks to Minister Samuda, who had to leave. And of course, thanks to Evan Thompson, who we all rely on, and the entire Met Office team. And as always, as we close out this press briefing, we ask that you continue to pray for this country. Prayers work. They have worked time and time again, and let us continue to pray, and let us continue to pray that God will bless Jamaica land we love. Thank you.